I worked for 7+ years inside of B2B SaaS startups as a growth marketer. I now have worked with over 20 plus B2B SaaS companies within my agency. And I'm seeing a lot of things that scare me from a marketing perspective and how companies are operating their marketing for early stage startups. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of those problems I'm seeing and also offer how I recommend companies fix them. So I worked for startups, fast-growing SaaS startups for 8+ years as a growth marketer. Through that experience, I saw a lot of things that were done probably not in the best way to try to hit growth targets. So typically what would happen is we would get these growth targets at the beginning of the year. We'd have to 3 or 4x our revenue target. We'd have to 3 or 4x the number of qualified sales opportunities we had to generate month over month. And it would be a massive jump from Q4. And it was always hilarious because I always thought, like, how do we expect to do this? How do we realistically think we're going to actually do this without a clear strategy in place? It's one thing if we had a clear line of sight to hitting this goal. Maybe we knew X amount of leads were coming through certain channels. And if we, doubled the spend or did a few things, we could get it to the point. But more often than not, that was not the case. More often than not, I would come into situations where the demand gen strategy was not clear. We weren't confident in what was actually going to move the needle for us, but yet we still had really big goals and there was expectations that we were going to hit it. Something that I think is ridiculous is to expect that you're going to hit those things. And something I always did in those situations is I kind of accepted that, like, I probably wasn't going to hit the goals right away. But what I always focused on was improvement. And can we just get a little bit better every month? And can we learn and actually find things that work through the process? So I was always focused on making the system better and growing and just trying to get better every month. So a lot of times I wouldn't hit the goals. I wouldn't hit those like 5x goals, but we would go 3x after, 4 to 6 months. And we'd learn a lot about what's working and what's not. And we'd feel a lot more confident in investing in certain areas because we had the infrastructure to tell us what was actually driving qualified sales opportunities. So I believe that more marketing teams and startups should focus on that. Focus on how can we just get a little bit better every month? And how can we actually set up an infrastructure where we're collecting data and we're actually using data to learn? Because to me, let's say hypothetically, you test running webinars and you find out that this actually works really well for your audience. Like, you get a lot to show up, you book maybe roughly 4 to 5 sales meetings from those webinars a month. Now you have a process that consistently brings in 4 to 5 meetings every month. And that's something you can add to your marketing stack every month, every quarter. To me, that's a win because now the system's getting better, right? Now you have another tool in your toolbox. So taking this approach is really how, when I was in startups, we saw significant growth from a pipeline perspective and from marketing. Again, I didn't always hit the 5x revenue goal, but usually after 6 to 12 months, we'd be in a much better place than we were before that. Another mistake I see with a lot of startups is they want to invest in growth marketing and demand gen before they have some key elements in place. And the truth is, demand gen is a very valuable process of marketing, but it doesn't work without the foundation in place. And what I mean by that is, you have product market fit. If nobody wants the product, it doesn't matter how good of a marketer you are or how good you are at Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever, no one's going to convert or buy the product. It's just that simple. So having product market fit to start is super important, and you need to have confidence in that. The second thing is your marketing infrastructure. Is the brand messaging aligned and clear? Do you have case studies and social proof that you can use? If you don't have these things, it makes growth marketing 10 times harder. So having these things in place to start will make the growth marketer's life a lot easier and you'll see better results. And then lastly, is there a content strategy that helps satisfy and educate people through different parts of the funnel? A big part of growth marketing in B2B SaaS companies is meeting people where they're at and getting them to that next stage of the buyer's journey. And if you don't have the content to do that, then you're going to be very limited in the strategies you can do. You'll most likely be just focusing on that very small percentage of people who are ready to buy now. But that dries up. And then once that happens, how are you going to get more people into your funnel? So a lot of times people just want to invest in demand gen right away. They expect a lot of leads, but if you don't have this infrastructure to start, then you're probably going to not succeed or not get as good of results. So my advice is, like, before you go invest in that, take the time to build the foundation, build the case studies, build the brand messaging, build the content. And while you might start slower then with your growth marketing journey, you're going to actually go a lot faster in the long run. And if you need help with any of that stuff, because I know we covered a lot, watch any of these 2 videos.